So Bryan Danielson is our brand new AEW World Champion. I know he didn't want it, and he probably fought against it, to the point Tony Khan was probably sitting there going, man, I'm going to have to walk out there and do a reverse screw job. So when Bryan Danielson has a submission hold, I just go with somebody ring the damn bell. But I just need to tell you this, I totally love it. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs, the only wrestling review show that you need in your life. So if you are looking for opinions from a bald man and you want to get mad in the comments, you have come to the right place. And always remember, what is Ups and Downs sponsored by? Positivity, because I like wrestling and you like wrestling. And the people that just want to be negative Nancy's, that's totally cool. And you are welcome here. I don't know what my point was. Let's up those downs. Dynamite also cracked me up at the start. Because bless these commentators. Because Jon Moxley's music hit, and as it was a brand new theme, Excalibur and co were like, oh, well, what's going on here? And maybe a ghost has taken over the broadcast. I was like, bros, it's Jon Moxley's New Japan theme. If I know that, you should know that too. We also weren't mucking around here, because apparently the look on his face told 1,000 tales, and it is true. If the last Jon Moxley we saw was sort of happy John, which it wasn't, this is definitely kind of sad John. Moxley has also re-pierced his ear, which is the equivalent of Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. And essentially, as he was talking to Tony Schiavone, he was like, I only want to talk to one man, and he's not here right now. It's Darby Allin. I was like, maybe he wants to ask him how to stick thumbtacks onto his face. Tony then tried to continue the show, but Mox stopped him and said, this isn't your show anymore. And what in the flub does that mean? Maybe it's my show. Oodalally. Let's just jump to later too, because we did have a backstage segment where we saw Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir walking around, and not only did they beat up a bunch of security guards, then another one ran in and he saw the carnage. He said, nope, ran away, made me laugh. So clearly Mox is about to start some kind of new faction, and given the words that came out of his mouth, people are going, whoa, maybe it's Shane McMahon. Now listen, it could be Shane McMahon, but my first thought was that surely it's going to be the Hurt Business, and that seems to make a lot more sense. Now I will say, as much as I do love them, the commentators did smash this over a head a bit too much. I mean, they may as well have just shouted out, something is different here. But look, if the idea was to get me intrigue, bravo, All Elite Wrestling, you did a damn good job. There's the idea. When it comes to an entertainment show, it's like a cliffhanger. And I wonder what Moxley is going to do. I mean, the fact he is using his New Japan theme and teaming up with Marina probably means this is going to be a bit of a fight club. We will find out. Although, just forget about it. It does happen in wrestling a lot. Up. The conglomeration were then here because they were going to be having an 8-man tag team match with the Learning Tree. And good grief. When that got announced, the internet went mad. Bob Briscoe also congratulated Hook because he is the brand new FTW champion. Well, Willow Nightingale was like, I'm going to whoop some tushy. And you bet your ass that I'm going to start including that into Ups and Downs. She has also picked the stipulation for her match with Chris Statlander at All Out, and it is going to be a street fight. And as Willow herself said, do you know who has had the most street fights in AEW? It's me. Okay. Briscoe then said the word of the day is, hang on, I gotta read this, Indefliggle blah blah. That's not what he said, but it did leave me going, well, Mark Briscoe, I would very much like to be your friend. And I shall now wait here for an answer. When we did stare out into the crowd, and somebody very close to the front row had a sign, and it said, Simon, give me an up. Now, after my all-in weekend, you guys have just made me feel so warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. My ego is running wild, so you better call me a bald idiot in the comments so we can calm everything down. But of course, you get an up, and honestly, from the bottom of my Tootsie Toes, thanks for just being really, really cool people. This Dynamite was totally bonkers too, because we then cut to Hangman Adam Page versus Ishii. Why not? They just kicked the crap out of each other and hit each other with elbows, but screw all of that. Gonna throw it over there. I just want to talk about this DDT onto the ring apron. Now, as we know, that is the hardest part of the ring. But when Hangman did this to Ishii, he spiked the man, and Ishii remained in the upwards position. It really did look like he was dead, although actually, if you are in that kind of state, you probably wouldn't be dead. Somebody needs to call a scientist. It didn't faze him massively because Ishii was then doing superflexes, so Hangman was doing DVDs. When the German suplexes started, Guten Tag, Herr Me. Thankfully, Adam still had an elbow, so he smashed him with that again, which is the pointed bit of the arm. When he hit the dead eye, but he could only get a 1-2 ooh. It must have knocked Ishii silly though, because he was all woozy-goozy. And when he was wibbling-wobbling around, Hangman Adam Page decided, I'm going to hit you with the buckshot lariat, and he did, and he got the win. Honestly, if you have 10 to 15 minutes today, I would sit down and watch this It's just like two tanks going to war. I may have actually enjoyed the fallout even better though, because instantly out came Swerve Strickland, and honestly, this guy, talking about make yourself a star in 2024. Now, of course, he had beef with the Cowboy because he had turned up during his main event with Bryan Danielson, but actually, he ain't mad about this. He not annoyed. He just feels sad for this idiot. This is because he is massively acting like a child. When Paige just grabbed the microphone, he's like, man, I can't stand you anymore. Let us talk about all of our matches. Fine, you may have beaten me in those, but every single time you had to have some help or you were cheating in some way, and damn it, I can't take it anymore. Swerve totally understand this though, and he was like, fine, you want to do it alone? We can do it alone, and we can do it next week in Chicago at All Out. And my friend, or not my friend because I hate you, it's gonna be in a flipping steel cage. So that does sound pretty logical. When Swerve Strickland did that thing again, he was like, let's go back in time. After one of our matches, I actually followed you, and I saw you with your pregnant wife. Now, the reason this is so good is because one, Strickland is a total crazy person, but also two, when Adam Page did disappear from AEW TV, nobody told us what this personal issue was. And then in 5 seconds, Swerve had just revealed it to the world. This is why he can't stand him. Ultimately though, even though Hangman was off there being a family man, Swerve Strickland realized I need to focus on the world title, and that's why he became the champion, whereas this stupid Adam idiot, he has become totally upset. He thinks that's causing Page's career to die too, when he essentially said to him, you need to figure out the man you're going to be in order for your kids. Adam, just so damn mad. Once again, I've said it once, I'll say it thrice, he just can't handle this. He also stormed off for some reason, which was kind of interesting because I thought he was going to punch Swerve right in the face. But this forever feud should quite literally go on to 2030 because AEW has their Batman and they have the Joker. And even though we have done this so many times, I am so pumped to see it again because also I have no idea who's going to win and I have no idea who's going to lose. And if that match main event's All Out, am I going to be bad? No, I am not. All of this is absolutely getting it up. When the fans were super happy because Jamie Hayter is back. He was facing Harley Cameron too, and this made me really pleased because if you're going to pick out people in 2024 who have taken advantage of the opportunities they have been given, she'd probably be at the top of the list. Sadly, she did get stomped on here as her head was dislodged with a clothesline, and while she was able to get some kicks in, ultimately, you could see in which direction this was going to go. Harley Cameron was going to get killed. It was true too, because Hayter then cut her off on a springboard. When she hit so many backbreakers, we probably have to retire the mood as she smashed her with the Haterade. 1, 2, 3. Fry was at ringside too, because of course Harley is her friend. And as soon as Jamie had won, she ran away. And of course, this ties back into the fact that they were the people to injure Jamie Hayter. So now she's got revenge part 1, and soon, probably at All Out, she will get revenge part 2. That's totally okay too, because sometimes you just want to sit back and have fun. Pretty sure that's what Cyndi Lauper was singing about. Ricochet was then chatting to the Learning Tree and Roderick Strong, because of course they're going to be involved in that tag team match. Now Renee did ask Big Bill about the chance that he got in the UK, and he compared this to being a leaf, as a perfectly normal human being would do, because of course in the fall, the leaves change. And he was essentially saying that while the fans cheat in there, you can't really trust the fans because the fans suck. Or something. I like that we did address this here, but listen, if these cheers do keep going on, we have to pull the trigger. Do not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. And if Big Bill is going to come babyface, just go and do it. Chris Jericho then pretended he was proud of Hook for becoming the FTW champion, when Roddy was all like, oh man, I'm so happy to be in the Jericho Vortex, when Jericho was like, well, don't forget, I still hate that piece of fruit, because he ruined my suit way back in the pandemic. I mean, talk about long-term storytelling. Or just not letting go of a grudge. Jericho then promised they were all going to pay, as the camera cut to Brian Keith. He just went, you're gonna pay, damn it. Honestly, he barely has anything to say, but he maximizes his minutes. I actually think coming out the other side, Bill and Brian are gonna benefit massively from this. And ultimately, that's all that really matters. It's the entire point. We then got a video reminding you that Will Ospreay had beaten MJF at All In, and I presume Maxwell had seen this. He then walked to the ring. Now the American gimmick seems to be done with, which does make all the sense in the world. It was just to ensure that when he was in England, he did not get cheered. Although he even said here, you stupid Americans, when I was trying to represent this country, you didn't have my back at all. So apart from the people in Long Island, New York, you all suck. everything is right again. He was also showing the effects of the Tiger Driver because his neck was all taped up, and he even said, I lost my title, I lost the match, and I lost my diamond ring. But apparently, that's for real. Somebody in the United Kingdom stole it, which just goes to show British people suck. He also then threatened Will Ospreay because as far as he's concerned, he cheated at the pay-per-view because he had help from Daniel Garcia. When he made one big old threat and he said, listen, Will, one day you're going to be going for the AEW World Championship and I am going to be there to stop you. Now, I'm sure this is what All Elite Wrestling will do. That's also the same story as Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. So we need to be careful here. We do not want to repeat. He also hates Daniel Garcia, and I totally get that because it was he who stopped him using the brass knucks. Just as he called him out, Daniel was like, all right, fine, I'm not waiting around here. And he appeared in the ring. My word, he kicked the crap out of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And he was choking him at one point, and even though MJF tried to get back into this and the security was running around everywhere, this was a proper beatdown. It's actually the most dominating Danny's looked in a long old time. We had such a good bit here too, because Garcia finally got the microphone. He was like, oh man, I stole your Dynamite diamond ring to afford my trip around the world to kick your ass at All In. And I thought that was so smart. Also, bring it down. There is the Hate of the Year board. And Danny Garcia goes in at number 3, because as we have established many times before, if you do indeed fly around the world just to stop somebody you hate, well, you get on the Hater of the Year board. He then got kinky because he said his new fetish is making sure that MJF is always in pain when he promised to beat him at All Out. And yeah, that's the match we're getting. And I presume there are some stipulations here because if Danny Garcia doesn't win, he's probably going to WWE. He also said he wanted to drop Maxwell on his head. I've been thinking about this all day and I do believe that has to be considered a crime. So pull it down, there's the crime counter. Like, you always have to put yourself in a real world situation. And if I found someone and said, oh, hello, Jack, my new goal is to ensure you have a terrible life and drop you on your head, police are probably gonna arrest me. This really is super interesting though, because one, it does tie into whether or not Daniel Garcia is going to resign, but also two, MJF probably needs to lose this match if Daniel Garcia is going to stay, and that would be 2 losses back to back. We are walking a very tight rope. We do have the intrigue though that is the secret sauce, and as for Garcia, I thought this was the best promo he's ever cut in AEW because he wasn't coming across like a character, he was just coming across like Danny Garcia. Now I've got no problem with gimmicks or anything like that, but this version suits him far better, so I thought he took that bat, kapow, and he hit a home run. Like I say, I want to see this fight. Let's get it up. Bit of a quick video reminding you that Ricochet is all elite. Well, it was party match time. Because it was Roderick Strong and the Learning Tree taking on the conglomeration, they just went out there and had a good old time. Hook and Jericho started off before Brian Keith tagged in there. We also got Orange Cassidy and Big Bill. This makes all the sense, because do not forget, it was a tag team match, meaning you're meant to tag. If you didn't do any tags, flub are we doing? For some reason, nobody could handle Billy's chops, so the tag klaxon went off and everybody was fighting. And when it did calm down, we did go back to the pandemic. Chris Jericho was lighting up Orange Cassidy. Orange did his pocket thing in order to get the advantage when we did get the hot tag to Mark Briscoe. You know the deal with that. He went totally crazy. Sadly, he didn't see Roderick Strong though, who gave him a backbreaker. I was like, wait a minute, Roddy. Did you not hear what we talked about earlier? Jamie Hayter just retired that move. Thankfully, eventually we got Bill in there, and he just killed everyone, especially this black hole slam to Orange. I mean, that was utterly wild. It was Hook that was able to throw him to calm this down when it looked like we were going to get a bunch of dives, but Chris Jericho stopped and did a wave instead. And just think about that from a real life point of view. This was the strategy he employed, thinking it was going to win the match. It didn't. Somebody smacked him in the face when the good guys were like, you want big jumps? They gave you some big jumps. Hook must have taken a med pack during all of this as well, because he snuck up on Roderick Strong and he applied the red rum. This is when we got to the finish, and it was so strange because Roddy did get his foot on the ropes, but then he must have tapped her at the same time, and even though referee Aubrey Edwards must have seen this leg, she just totally ignored it and said, nope, match done. We got a big brawl afterwards with the Undisputed Kingdom going after Hook, so I imagine our next FTW title feud is going to be Hook versus Roddy Strong, and I have no problem with that, and again, when it does come to the final matches on Dynamite, well, 9 times out of 10, they gang it up. But for some reason, that finish just didn't work for me. Like, one, because Roddy had done that with his foot, it kind of crapped all over Hook. But again, I don't understand how the ref couldn't have seen that. didn't really add up. That's just my take though, although I am going to give it a down. I just think if we had gone into our creative wagon, probably could have come up with something a little bit better. When the internet definitely got mad. We saw Mercedes Moné partying with Camille to celebrate the fact she had retained her championship when Private Party walked into this party and they most definitely tried to hit on Mercedes. Ruh-roh. She wasn't interested, even more so when Okada walked in. This dude is so funny. The first thing he said was, liquid courage, when Moné asked him, hey, how do I say goodbye bitches in Japanese? And of course that is sayonara bitches. So bring down the bitch counter, it goes up by 2. She then did the dance as Okada joined her when he also said, I'm living my dream. And look, I get it. Some people do not like this version of Okada at all, and that is more your right. As mad as this is going to get you, this is actually my favorite iteration of the Rainmaker. It's kind of like old school Kurt Angle. He can be a right div outside the ring because you know he's going to have the best matches. And I'll double down on this too, because during All In weekend, I was able to see him up close and personal. Genuinely, he is one of the best to ever do it. He made me laugh out loud though, so I am giving it up just for him. Because again, I watch wrestling to be entertained. This man brings me that love. Talking about being happy that you've got a belt too, Tony Schiavone then welcomed Mariah May to the stage, because she is the brand new AEW Women's Champ. Now Mariah had promised she was going to have some kind of celebration here too, when she realized the location that we were in and decided, nope, I'm not doing it here. I mean, it's heel tactics 101. May also feels like the women's division needs more glamour, which is why she is here. When she did disrobe, and let's face it, probably got a lot of Twitter bookmarks. I don't want to be that guy, I just know how seedy wrestling internet people are. Now May is on a roll right now and everything she did here was on point, but I kind of just felt, given that it was the Dynamite after a pay-per-view, that somebody, anybody could have run out and attacked her. I mean, you want to make sure that people stay invested, and because All Out is so close, Mariah May could have picked up an easy win here. That would have been totally fine, and of course you just know Tony Storm is going to be back before you know it. So a down is way too harsh because we did nothing wrong here, but ironically I am still going to give it a down because once again, just felt like we could have done a little bit more. Post-Dynamites like these just need to feel electric, and you could have given the rub to somebody else. Like even if it had just been an 8 to 10 minute match, you could have picked a random name, made people go, oh, I didn't see that coming. So yeah, it wasn't totally bad. There was just an opening, we didn't step through it. It was still perfectly fine though, and in terms of Mariah being the champion, I think she's gonna have a pretty good run. We then had the most bizarre back-to-back videos with the grizzled young veterans. Now I am over the moon they are in AEW, because these two guys are totally inspirational. They left the WWE, they bet on themselves. Now look at them, they're smashing it. We had a video shot right after All In, where they told the Young Bucks, man, you better watch out for us, because we are coming for those tag team titles, and grit your teeth. Well, we cut to them Backstage Dynamite. They said, listen, tag team division, you better watch out for us and grit your teeth. I was like, all right, I will. And I spent the rest of the morning doing this. You have to imagine they're going to have a match with Dax and Cash first, though, because they did whoop their ass at the pay-per-view. But it also means Wednesday, we are going to get them versus the Bucks. And honestly, there is no way it can be bad. You could go to any single reality in some kind of time machine, and it would still kick ass. I am very excited. And you can even use these two to make sure we do shine a brighter light on the tag team scene, which it likely needs right now, when we cut to another video reminding you, oh yeah, Takeshita has been in the G1 recently, and we likely needed that too. It's kind of been persona non grata. When it was time to have more fun, because it was Ricochet versus Carl Fletcher, and honestly, I think Ricky Boy in AEW is gonna be damn good. Fletcher made sure to use matrix moves to begin with so he wouldn't get hit, but they still went off. And some of the dives they did here, I think they have just invented. So once again, somebody ring the newspapers, we may have a headline. I think most people tuned into this as well to see if we were going to get the Ricochet of old, for lack of a better term, and to use this for evidence going forward. I would imagine the answer is yes. Even his selling was totally nuts when he got booted over Barry Barricade, when he was coming back with springboard meteoras and springboard clotheslines. And I know lots of people do maneuvers like this in wrestling, but when it comes to Ricochet, I don't know what it is, man. He's got the secret sauce. Now, it is fair to say the card got a lot of criticism here, and that always irks people a little bit, because like, why didn't we showcase Ricochet? But that's just how AEW treats its matches, and it is a lot like sports. Let's take Premier League soccer. Sometimes you can get any two teams, and they have a competitive match. And I actually think in terms of what they did here, it was the right choice, because I was having a damn good time. And look at it this way too. Later on, Ricochet did hit that final cut combo and did a running shooting star press for a 1-2 ooh. This crowd totally lost their minds for it. He also did this mad dive before he got crushed with a brain buster as he flipped out of a stone of tomb and landed on his feet when he hit this new, I guess, reverse DDT that we are calling the Vertigo, and he pinned Carl Fletcher for the 1, 2, 3. And I searched my feelings, and I was like, yep, that rocked. The aftermath was great as well because AEW teased us like a sex shop. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But Will Ospreay's music hit, and I was like, oh, bro, here we go. Or actually, we just did more teasing, because before William could say anything, Pac snuck up behind him and gave him this crazy Poison Rana on the stage when he picked up a mic and said, hey, Rick, it's great you are in AEW, but you get to the back of the line, pal, because at the pay-per-view, I am taking that belt from Ospreay. So we now get to do all these matches, and one day we'll probably get a triple threat, and I'll be dead, because my brain won't be able to handle it, but I enjoyed all of this. Let's get it up. When it was time to be addressed by our brand new world champions, out came Bryan Danielson. I just love this guy. I am sorry, Brit. The fans are just so into it as well. Hopefully Bryan understands why we had to do this, because the positivity was overwhelming. And he basically admitted this too. He was like, yeah, when all was said and done, I realized this was the best moment of my career. He also said that his daughter had the time of her life too. We probably did need to throw that in there, because by accident, Danielson made her the biggest heel on the internet, because she's the reason he's going to retire. At the post-press conference, though, he was asked, well, what's next, Bryan? He has been pondering this. And look, he is out of contract right now, and he does need neck surgery, so eventually he is going to have to go home. But damn it, he ain't doing that right now. Yes. Instead, he's going to defend this title and he's going to defend this belt until he loses it, and that is when he will end his full-time career. But as far as he's concerned, that's not going to happen for a long old while, because he likes being the champ, so if you want some, come get some. He didn't say that, the internet would have broken, but that's what he meant. So once again, basically the stipulation is now the next time he does lose, he is going to go away. When he said the challenge is open to the entire locker room, when from nowhere a Jack Perry video played. Or at least he was cutting a promo. Now, of course, everyone got angry about this too, but old Jack did make a great point. The last time we were in the ring, which was Anarchy in the Arena, I need you in the head, Danielson, and I won, so I think I deserve it. I was like, that's a fair point. Now, one of two things happened here. Either one, Jack Perry has invented teleportation powers, because he appeared in the ring and he whooped Bryan Danielson's ass, or two, he recorded this video knowing that Bryan was gonna do an open challenge, even though nobody knew that. So I smell shenanigans. I also want to point out this is totally fine, because we would not be doing Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry at All Out unless Bryan Danielson wanted to do versus Jack Perry at All Out, and given that he is in his final weeks or months of his career, just let him fight anybody he wants. And yes, Perry kneed him in the face when he held up both championships to end Dynamite. I have no problem with this. All Out is a week Sunday or whatever it is. Just pick some people and go whoop their ass. We also know there's plenty of bigger opponents down the line, because Bryan Danielson basically told us as much. So yeah, I have no issue with this, especially because AEW must have planned it in, because again, go back to Anarchy in the Arena, and that's all I ask. Some stories that do make sense. I'm giving it an up. Look, the comments are there, go get mad. So I thought it was a pretty decent post-show for AEW Dynamite, and maybe we didn't have the absolute massive cannon that makes you go, oh, but, you know, I still had a good time. So I am going to give it an up. I have no idea what a massive cannon is. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and click the video on the screen, which is my ups and downs for All In. And yes, there's a warning here. We did do it live outside Wembley. You know the deal. Otherwise, thank you for joining me as always, my friends, and I will see you throughout the week. Take care, and all the damn best.